So say all praises glory and honor to Yahweh Bashem Al Shah Bashem Gakdash. The one say others possible teacher, great Muslim, born in truth, and also Shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel. And I'm gonna share this on a recent robot showcase that let me see, pull up the company. Or when you go into robotics, that's where everything is heading to with the so-called white man, and this whole government is merging man with machine to try to become something more, to try to become God. And you have these niggas who are at the top who have all these different types of organ or heart transplants. I think there was one guy specifically that had like several heart transplants, and niggas still fucking died. But the so-called white man is continuously making an attempt to try to reach the heights of the Lord, which it's not. Even with him doing that, with the little knowledge and wisdom that he's been given, to do something like that is quite literally incomprehensible for the human mind. There is this movie, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, but at the end of the movie, it's been a long time since I watched that, but it literally just came to mind. I guess the Crystal Skull, if I remember correctly, was an actual, like, an alien skull, and it had knowledge. It was full of knowledge of some shit like that. But I remember at the end of the movie, there's this chick, the antagonist of the series, which was the leader of the antagonist group, was this, I think she's like some Russian woman or some shit, and she actually got her hands on the skull. And I think she looked into its eyes, and pretty much from what I remember, it gave her knowledge. But she quite literally fucking exploded. The reason why I mention that's why, because to do something like that, which once again, it's impossible, it's too much. Esau's trying to take on the task that's too much for him, but he's going to try to do the best he can. And the best he can do that is his false way of doing things, of becoming God, putting chips in everybody, merging man with machine to try to become something more, connect yourself to the internet to give you pseudo spiritual power, because like what, you put chips in your body and now you can control mechanical devices. That's the closest he's going to get. But the funny thing is that Esau's doing, on all these other heathen nations, working together to do this, but the Lord already has this reserved for our people. You have Jake that is in awe of the so-called white man's lifestyle, but the Heavenly Father already has this set up for us. Because once again, the so-called white man is trying to emulate the Lord. And Jake is trying to emulate Esau, who is emulating the Lord. And then the funny thing is that the Lord, we already have access to the source. That's just a funny thought to come to mind. When you go into knowledge, wisdom of the Lord, this leads to everything. This leads to knowledge, it leads to power. And what a lot of people, especially Jake, because niggas don't like to fucking read. Is that how you spell scepters? I know that's not how you spell the light. Knowledge is quite literally power. For example, combat, right? There's technicalities, there's stuff you have to learn. In order, there's book things you have to learn. You have to sit down and learn in order to actually build up and learn how to utilize these different types of skills, whether it's in martial arts, whether it's in any type of skilled profession. You have to sit down, you have to read some shit, and then you get to implement those skills and those techniques that you read. Same thing with the scriptures. You read, you learn, and then comes the time when the Lord gives our people power. So Psalm 6 and 21. And that's what the so-called white man did, which is funny, because you have all these things that are built up now. And all these rich niggas, all these powerful niggas, at some point, them niggas had to sit down, they had to read, they had to learn before they implemented all these things that yielded them physical, tangible benefits. Same thing with the scriptures. with investing, with mechanic, being a mechanic, an artist, a musician. You have to learn. You have to sit down. You have to read shit. You have to understand different concepts. Psalm 6 and 21. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom that ye may reign forevermore. And you have Esau implementing all these complex, technical things. Like, for example, robotics. If you've ever done coding of any fucking type, because obviously programming, like coding a website is nothing compared to programming all these different fucking complex mathematical equations that go into fucking developing these robots with different area and spatial awareness. AI, like different fucking calculations that fucking transfer into whether or not to lift the arm or not, and how far to lift the arm. It's complex math that goes into this shit. But it all started with learning basic shit. It all builded off of a foundation. And our people right now, we're establishing the foundation. But what do you have our people? They said they want to be kings now. They want to lead now. Lead what? Be king of what? The king of the hill, the king of the neighborhood, the king of the hood, nigga. But this is recently, let's see, the most recent one, ARN News Center. A full-size humanoid robot might potentially roam Abu Dhabi's malls, restaurants, and facilities in 2026, following a showcase at the BRICS Summit 2025 in Abu Dhabi. And you already know what they show is leagues behind what they actually have in store. Jesse Liu, CFO and Director of Global Operations China's Limex Dynamics, stated that the UAE and wider Middle East offer an ideal environment for deploying cutting-edge robotic solutions, given the region's strong openness to advanced technology. So the white man's doing the same thing, Liu explained the robot showcase at the summit is full-size humanoid model category, produced by only a few companies worldwide at high levels of stability, flexibility, and intelligence. He added the companies developing systems that engage robots learn in a human-like manner through reinforcement, learning and simulation, allowing them to acquire new skills to perform tasks with greater precision. And what these robots did last, a couple years ago, the shit wasn't this advanced. 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 years ago, they came out with these basic robots doing these basic shit, tumbling over, looking goofy as fuck. Now these niggas are actually boxing. They're able to detect, how far somebody is, whether or not to use lethal force with shit. Because they're talking about next year, they want to roll these out in malls, which means, well, you could use that as a testing ground of sorts. But they also have different, the intricacy to actually learn. And once again, there's the brothers that put up some shorts. GMS Dallas, I think GMS Dallas, they're putting up some shorts. Was going into Trump with this whole thing, with pretty much reestablishing U.S. global dominance. And the way they talked about doing it was mainly through the economy and the military. And one thing that was mentioned in that document, because there's a whole little proposal for that, was them doing it through the military and technology. And with all these different false flag events going on, you have Trump, pretty much clamping down more so when it comes to security. In all this, these cities are going to be shut the fuck down tight, and what these robotic systems are going to be implemented. See, I actually talked to this one woman a few years ago. I asked her opinion on super soldiers because she was into conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and but she mentioned how the super soldiers are going to be robots. And as you currently, I'm obviously, it made sense, but you're going to have robots on the fucking streets, and all these shit being interacting around people, being in the malls, these different showcases. It's just testing grounds for that. To slowly roll this shit out for people to get more and more used to it. All these sci-fi apocalyptic movies, or fucking martial law movies, all that shit is going to happen. But instead of people, it's going to be mainly robots and or niggas controlling robots. And sure, you can say, hey, we can fight against a person, which majority of niggas can't really fight like that, to be honest. You can fight against a person. You can at least tussle with them, but you can't do shit against a fucking robot. And once again, our people, and this is stuff that our people really don't care to fucking know. But this is important things that are literally world changing. It's world changing shit. It's literally going to turn your world upside down. And your frown. And so he stated the company is developing systems that enable robots to learn in a human-like manner through reinforcement learning simulation. And once again, the stuff, if they're all, they have the technology to allow these fucking things to learn like humans. Once again, and that's what they're showing. What the fuck do you think they have in reserve to roll out on you people? Because they're not going to show nobody in their right mind shows their fucking hand like that. Give me a second here. I need to pull up Blue Letter. Try to make this quick. It's Genesis 25 and 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. I'm going to go to the words cunning and hunter. Because the so-called white man, he didn't this, and like what the Lord gave us the play of how, pretty much a skeleton play of how the so-called white man, how shit's going to run out, or the rundown of how shit's going to happen. But our people falling into that trap are pacified, and they act as if nothing's going to happen. Apparently, the food stamps weren't enough. That wasn't enough for the scare. Trump being that cruel Lord, fucking everybody over, that wasn't enough. Especially for all the niggas who know that they're Israelites, who are teaching bullshit, who are distracting the people with complete and utter bullshit. One of the brothers mentioned, I think I remember hearing that too. One of the brothers mentioned how you had that little light-skinned faggot that said that if we're wrong, then something along the lines of how if we're wrong, then like the Lord is going to correct us or some shit like that. He didn't say it like that. He used more. He was more bold in his speech, but that was some crazy shit to say, because they know everybody with a brain knows them niggas. Anybody who teaches that God loves everybody, logically, like you even have atheists that are atheists, not because they just don't believe, but because they understand the Bible and they don't want to fucking believe. Atheists they have a lot of atheists that are atheists because they think they read the Bible and they think that it's fucked up that God created everybody, but he only loves one people. They'll say, no, I don't want to believe in that. They understood good. Obviously, they don't understand everything, but the bare bones, when you read the Bible, you understand that God doesn't love everybody. And they understood that. And they said, wow, that's kind of fucked up. I don't want to believe in something like that. But you have these niggas, if you just read the Bible, cover to cover, you'll understand that. An atheist understands that. But these niggas, you see what the fuck these assholes are doing. And everybody knows they're getting paid too. So that's really interesting. Anybody can clearly see that God doesn't love everybody. So why would you teach otherwise? Why would you distract the people with some bullshit when you have literally the hand of the devil closing around you? This is the type of shit that our people, well, not shit, but this is the type of stuff that our people need to hear. The warning needs to go out because, like, quite once again, you're not going to be dealing with people. You're going to be dealing with fucking robots. This is a real thing that this nigga is doing. Says, to know, to be skillful, to have knowledge, be wise, to make oneself known, reveal oneself, but to know, to be skillful, to have knowledge. And that's what, we're cunning and going into hunter. Hunting, game hunted. Everybody knows what a hunter is. Someone who tracks down prey. And hunters, what do? They set traps. You know, you have hunters are armed to the teeth with all sorts of gadgets. You know, there's actually this there's actually this device that can depending on whether or not you're looking for a deer, or I think a female deer is called a doe or a roe. But there's a device that simulates the sounds of the opposite gender, you know, and it can detract whichever gender deer you're hunting. There's fucking you have ghillie suits, which is basically a camouflage suits. You have these different fucking all types of contraptions that you can set up to track down animals. And that's what the so-called white man is doing. He's a cunning fucking hunter. And he's setting up all types of traps, from dividing the people to teaching bullshit to divide them that way, from distracting them with bread and circus. Meanwhile, this nigga Trump literally had a proposal of world fucking domination. And Jake here in America says, okay, that's good. No, it's not good. Because when this nigga says world domination, he means to dominate you too. Don't forget that age-old grudge that the so-called white man has against our people. And if everything that hasn't gone on, you know, that the so-called white man did now, hasn't told you that, these damn robots will gladly tell you. Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. And make no mistake, the use of robotics is no fucking joke. A couple years ago, I think it was Iranian generals. They were taking them niggas out with exploding fucking cell phones. Right? Either they had some type of wireless technology that overloaded the phone, or they had actual chips in the phone. Either way, they took these niggas out with exploding fucking phones. This nigga can take virtually anybody out with the press of a fucking button with his damn feet kicked up. These niggas have no idea the intricacy and the amount of power that the Lord has given this nigga. Now, the amount of power that the Lord has reserved for us is infinitely greater. But in our current estate, as we are having no power, Esau can ease. The Lord has literally been the one holding Esau back from doing the shit. Because if Esau himself wanted to, he would have already done away with our people, or at least made an attempt to. Because obviously, Jake, you can't. With Jake, you got Jake, but then you have Jake who look like heathen, so you can't really tell. But he has the power to do that. That's why when you go into Jacob's trouble, right? What's going to happen? 2/3 are going to get knocked the fuck off. That's a lot of people. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for devils come down onto you having great wrath, because you know that you have but a short time. Why do you think all these different plans are being implemented and expedited? Once again, the development of technology, it's been developing rather quickly. Because a few years ago, these robots could barely stand up. Now you have these things fucking boxing. Fucking ready to go into malls and interact with people. And what do you think those robots are going to do? They're going to do fucking security. They're going to be hitting niggas. And like what? They're going to be hitting niggas with all types of martial arts, lost arts, with kung fu. And they have the ability to actually do that shit. Because, you know, they're made of wire and metal and, you know, all different types of polymer and all this other shit. They can do shit that humans can't. These niggas can do a fucking triple axle spinning kick and knock your fucking head off your shoulders. A human can't do that. These niggas can jump 20 fucking feet in the air and come down with a damn dynamic entry front kick. For those of y'all who watch Naruto, Might Guy dynamic entry fucking kick and put a hole in your fucking chest. They can do all that shit. They can throw a damn rock and turn your ass into a fucking donut. They can get you in a damn arm bar or a fucking scorpion death lock, or hit your ass with a damn scorpion death drop, and you just have to stand there because they're stronger than you. They can grab you and snap your fucking wrist. If a robot is given the command to kill, it's going to kill without hesitation. And they can mass produce these motherfuckers. They can push these bitches out like fucking hotcakes. And once again, this ain't no joke. This ain't no game. Just like how you niggas scramble for rent because you know if you don't get rent, you're going to get put the fuck out. It's the same thing. It's not no game when it gets real in the fucking field. It ain't no game, my nigga. Y'all may be able to walk around now, but all these things are slowly developing. And all we're doing is giving the message, but what you have loudmouth, dick-sucking bitches that want to talk shit, that want to say how they're embarrassed to be Israelite. Okay then, bitch, go drown upside down. But you know, that's pretty much it. Hope it's that fine. So y'all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shemach, Dash. There was a positive teacher, great message from the truth, show on to hope like Israel, instruction, battle, great America.